Colleagues, good morning. I hope you slept well in the comfort yala coastlands eMhlanga after 2 years of not having this type of gathering. So I'm sure abaningi, most of you were really grateful to be in this space. Virtual meetings were good, but some of us did not enjoy. And I was talking yesterday with some of the colleagues during dinner. There need to be a study or some survey of the impact and the value add that those virtual meetings had. I believe with what I've seen, where I'm hosting a meeting, when the meeting is ended, then you find out there's still a lot of people that are still connected, and you ask yourself, where are these people? So the virtual meetings had their thing going, but I don't know if it was impactful enough, or people vula my laptop and then go and do other things. But we're not there. Good morning, I'm Zakwe. I was a trainee as well for quite some time. In 2003, ngiseThekwini for 4 years. 2007-8, I was an accountant. 2012, then got promoted, manager, financial officer. 2014, then joined provincial treasury. So I've been in your positions. I've been in the space that you are right now. And I know how it is to be a trainee, to be an intern. I'm grateful to be in this position where I am right now. I'm blessed with 3 kids, a beautiful wife. God has been good to me. I am serving in this committee as well. I'm a board member nationally of CIGFARO. It's by the grace of God. It is giyenzeka. It's possible if you believe. If you are focused, dedicated, committed, and so on and so forth. You just need to focus and focus on the path that you are at. Today, I'm going to present on e-budget process, or the local government budget framework and financial management, just to acknowledge executive members of CIGFARO, Dr. Mel, Babu Mkizela, who's the CFO at Mbendle. He was also an intern. Leanne Peters, our program director for yesterday. Usanele Ngema, he's going to present later on. Our esteemed guest from eThekwini, Usalga, is also still part of us today. Thank you. There's also IIA, and you beautiful guys, thank you for coming and gracing us with your presence. Just clap your hands for it. Just give a round of applause for yourselves. Quickly, I'm just going to be quick. E-budget is very simple. I've been doing it for the past 18 years. I find it very simple, very, very simple. So I'm just going to run through it. I'm a slide, 4 or 5, I think would have done justice to e-budget process. And then the rest will just give you an indication. But most of the challenges and the shortcomings, I think my good sir, Ibrahim Asmal, I think is touched base on some of the current challenges that we are facing. Thank you for that presentation as well. Very engaging and very, it was a good presentation. I really liked it. Thank you. Quickly, the legislative framework that is governing e-budget process. We all know Section 215. Section 215 basically speaks about the budget process, that transparency must be promoted, accountability, effective financial management. Ibrahim did touch on those things, service delivery, and the 216 speaks about the enforcement, the internal controls, that needs to be applied and complied with in terms of implementing that budget, the role that national and provincial plays in the budget process. So that is emanating from the Constitution. There are other primary legislations that are in place in the public space. PFMA that is operating, that's provincial and national government. And then Komaspala, it's the MFMA that is operating or that is regulating. And then we have other legislative frameworks as well in place, fiscal powers and functions, IDORA, that is giving grants, and then fiscal relations. Then secondary legislations will be regulations that come with E-Act. I always explain regulations in this way. You remember during COVID, there was a state of disaster. That state of disaster comes from the Act itself. It's the National State of Disaster Act. Now, what happens? The president will declare that. We all know what happened. Levels. And then in order to operate, the president will give effect to regulations, which will be amplified by your minister. These are the number of people that should be in the venue and all of those things, funerals. And so that's an amplification of the Act itself, regulations. And then from regulations, there'll be guidelines and so on and so forth. It's the same principle that applies in the budget process as well. So yeah, Kona MBRR, which gives effect to the MFMA. So it amplifies or it gives further detail to what the Act entails. If you are a Christian, you will know a law that Moses declared or promulgated, umthetho kaMose. And then from the law, kwaba nama regulations ukuthi kuzokwenziwa kanjani in following that law. But we are not there. Now there is a dispensation of grace where we are now. There are no more regulations, there are no more masks, we are free. So it's the same thing. That's how I normally explain it in principle. So that's how they operate regulations. So the seculars and so on and so forth. That's just the legislative framework. Oh, but wait, what is happening? Right, so the MFMA is the cornerstone of budgeting, all right? It governs the municipal budget and the financial reporting processes. As I've explained, how the MBRR fits or amplifies the Act. And then chapter 3, chapter 5, it's still part. Chapter 3 of the Constitution, 2.1, 2.15, 2.16, and then chapter 5 for MFMA also add into that. So now, what is the budget? That's what I'll explain in the next 2 slides. What is the budget? How is the budget compiled? And where does it fit in the bigger schemes of things? So the budget is a plan. It's a tool. We all know. Serious you know we budget, guys, and I'm not gonna try and bore you with the theory, especially presenting after the active Ibrahim Ishmael. It's quite not comfortable presenting a theory like this, but I'll try and be quick. So the budget is the plan that is indicating where the money is coming from and where will the money go to. So it's the heartbeat of the municipality. It's the heartbeat. If the heart stops, what happens? You die. So if there is no budget, what's happening? No service delivery. And what do people do? They protest. Kuba ne-looting, kuba ne-unrest. Imali azikho, kunama potholes, and so on, abantu abanamizi, and all of those things. So it's the heartbeat. So the heartbeat must always, the heart must always beat. It must always pump the blood. So there must always be money to pay for the services. It's the enabler of service delivery. Without the budget, without the money, services will not be delivered to the people. So, and there's three things that are very important. Technical, please take note of these things. The budget must be credible. It must be credible. I guess it's credible. Credible. So, credible means it's worthy of being accepted as true or reasonable. It must be able to be believed. It must be convincing. It must be capable of being persuading people that something will happen successfully. That's what credible means. We are in June now. We are in the process of assessing our final budget. In March, end of March, kutabulishwa draft, and we assess that. Out of the 54 municipalities in the province, 7 of those did not table a budget in go March. 7 did not table out of the 54. 18 of those were unfunded. 34 were funded. 18 of the municipalities were unfunded. Now, Lababa 7, we intervened obviously as a provincial treasury. I was attending a council meeting 2 weeks after 31 March. So we were pushing Utama Councillor, I establish a budget. One of the things that one councillor asked after it was tabled, because if you get table issue, and then there'll be a motion to move, which let's approve it. One of the things that one councillor asked, we have seen what the mayor has presented. I think they were presenting about 54 million with capital budget. Now, what he asked, he said, I want to see it on paper, because when I go back to the people where I'm representing, they will ask, where is this money coming from? Where is it displayed? How much is this ward that is getting? It was a genuine question, a very valid question for someone who is a ward council. See, I want to go back to the ward that I'm representing with something on paper. The budget that we are going to get for capital projects in this ward, this is how much. And let me tell you something. The employee, the official waga budget or budget manager on that meeting, she could not present that. She referred the councillor to mayor's speech. What mayor ute? It's a councillor. No, I heard the mayor's speech. I want to see it on paper. Now, would you say that is credible? It's not. And I ngamsandelu WhatsApp. Let's show them table S36. You will see just now when I show you the budget tables. Let's show them table S36. It's supposed to be there. Agaifagil. She did not populate the tables properly. And you know what they said? They said, Treasury comes up with all these changes. And these changes makes us not to be able to do things right. So I cannot give you the actual thing. Cabanga. Indengeko, you know. So that is not credible. So e-budget must be credible. We must be able to see. So all these tables, which I'll show you just now quickly in the next slide, you have to populate them in the right way, and they provide each and every detail that is needed in order for the budget to be credible. One of the things that is important with the budget, it must be relevant. So it must speak to the IDP priorities. It must also be aligned with the vision ngamaspala, what the municipalities seek to do in the next 3 or 5 years. It must also be aligned to the national programs as well. We know there's lack of job opportunities, service delivery is a challenge, infrastructure, development, and so on and so forth, human settlement, especially after the floods and all of those things. So the budget must be relevant to the challenges that the municipality is facing, as well as the national programs as well. So in order for it to be relevant to the people, abantu bayamukela budget, it must be relevant, it must talk to their needs. All right. It must be sustainable as well. Give effect to long-term financial sustainability. So it must address service delivery shortcomings. It must also consider free basic services. Not everyone can afford the services that are delivered. Not everyone can pay for electricity. Not everyone can pay for amanzi, but those things are the basic needs. Not everyone is working. So it must accommodate everyone, and it must give effect to free basic services and address those service delivery needs. So where does it fit in the big scheme of things? I'm sure you've seen this, the municipal accountability cycle. You will see, as I was alluding to in my last slide, the key thing, all right. The key thing which defines the budget is the IDP. And then from the IDP, it will be the budget. Obviously, that must be aligned to speak to the service delivery need. There must be consultation process as well. I will show you in the next slide where does that consultation process fit in, where you engage the public and all of those things, sector departments, and in order to get the needs that people need must be addressed in the budget. So that's where the budget fits. And then from the budget, you will have something called the service delivery budget implementation plan, which are more of the performance deliverables, which is a tool to monitor e-performance. It has figures of e-budget. It has the key performance indicators or areas or focus areas. It has the departments concerned and the heads of those departments. So that is a tool that is used to measure, or for those who, the implementing agents or the heads or the municipality, to account to the people. This is what we are going to do, and it must align to the budget as well. And then we have something called the in-year reporting, which is your monthly reporting, your Section 71 reporting, Section 72, which is mid-year, and all of those things. So those are the indicators that gives effect to e-budget implementation process. Without monthly reporting, we cannot see how the municipality is doing. All right. We cannot assess, we cannot measure e-performance. And then you'll have your annual financial statement, which gives effect to your annual report, as well as your oversight report to the councillors. Now, e-budget, in simple terms, it's a three-way process. There is a budget preparation, there is a budget implementation, and there is a budget evaluation. All right? So it's a three-way process. E-preparation, I'll tell you just now, I'll give you 6 steps. That's the preparation there. The IDP and the budget itself. That is the preparation process. The implementation, it's when you start to use the budget on the current financial year. That's the implementation. Evaluation, it's when you measure the previous year's performance. So it's very, very simple. And then obviously the preparation process involves the planning, which starts in the first 2 months. In August, that's where the mayor will table the key deadlines, which this is what we are planning to do, and so on and so forth. And then the strategizing process falls after that, from September to December, where you engage abantu, you engage sector departments, various departments, you engage even amanyama departments, line departments, and all of those things, trying to find out what are the needs going to be in the next financial year. And then there'll be a preparation process after mid-year, after seeing this is how we have performed in the first half of the year. Then we start preparing. We are making changes where possible. Then we'll have the adjustments budget process in February, and then there'll be e-tabling in March. And then there'll be approval by the councillors 30 days before the start of the budget financial year, which is 31 May. And then the finalizing part is when it is published, and then you implement. So that's the basics of a budget. It is so simple. So simple. Are you still with me? Simple. So if these things are done timelessly, it shouldn't be a train smash. I think the only challenge about Kia is Omaspala, they try and do these things last minute. And the budget is very demanding in the processes themselves. There is a lot of consultation that needs to be done in order to get it right. So ngeke uyenze yonke lento ngo-March, kumele utablishe ngo-31 March, because you would not have consulted properly. You would not have engaged abantu properly. You would not have strategized properly, going to councillors going to the wards and meeting war rooms and involving sector departments to come and engage on the issues and the shortcomings and all of those things. So this whole process, including the others which I've mentioned, I said it's a three-way process: preparing, evaluation, as well as implementation. You cannot do in 1 month. It comes back to what was discussed yesterday, the capacity. So Omaspala must have a capacity to do all of these things. Ngeke BTO manager engenama clerks, engenama accountants, and so on and so forth. Ikwenze yonke lento, plus needs to comply with other reforms, yengo M-score, plus reporting and all of those things. So you can't do all of those things at once. Now, these are the tables that I was talking about. And if you did the accounting at school, you will see these things, they are very straightforward. Because the reason I'm saying that, I'll tell you just now. Table A1 is the summary of everything. This is the budget document, basically. This is the regulated schedule that needs to be tabled by AMA councillors. As I was telling you about that municipality that did not populate the right tables, this is what was supposed to be populated and presented to the councillors. As complicated as sometimes it seems, But when you get into it, you'll see it's very straightforward and simple. So table A1 is basically your summary of everything. Table A2, A3, and A4 is your income and your expenditure. Table A2, A3, and A4 is your income and expenditure. It's just that it is presented differently. Your A2 will have your general financial statistics presentation representing all 15 business units. Economic, whatever, general finance and executive, all of those department, trading services, infrastructure, those 15 business units. So that's your A2. But your A3 will, like the vote structure, yamaspala, like ama departments as per the organogram. But A4 will have the line items as they are. Incomes, nama property rates, nama service charges, nama fines, and all of those things. So A2, A3, and A4 is a simple income statement, statement of financial performance, which will have your income, your revenue, and your expenditure. Your A5 is merely your capital budget. What you are seeking to acquire in terms of the asset and how much or how will those assets be funded, basically. Your A6 is your financial position. Abanye bethu bazothi balance sheet, it will reflect in terms of the budget how your financial position is projected or forecasted. Your A7 is your cash flow. Straightforward as well. It's just a mere reflection of your bank account. What's coming in, being receipted, and what will be paid. And then your A8, which is a key, is just a reconciliation of all of everything that is above. And that is the critical one that we see when we assess a budget that must reflect the funding position. So if A8 is on a surplus, it means the budget is funded. If A8 is sitting on a deficit, that means the budget is unfunded. But again, it happens that when you get all the things wrong, you end up with A8 being funded while it's not. When we do our assessment and we find out, you over-provided the things that you were supposed to consider that you did not consider, and then it end up being unfunded. Your A9 is a reflection of your asset register, which gives effect to all your assets, repairs and maintenance and all of those things. And then your A10, just the service delivery items, which is more like a statistical information that gives effect to equitable share. So National Treasury uses that table to assess how many are receiving electricity, how many are getting water, and how many are getting refuse services. So all of that information, which is the basic service delivery needs, are reflected in table A10. And if that one is not calculated properly, and you want more money to come to your municipality from National Treasury, it doesn't happen like that. So you just get a share that is common to everyone. So it's very important that these tables are populated ngendlela kuyiyona. And when council approves, as I was telling you earlier, it approves these tables, these are regulated, and any other format beside this one is not recognized. All right? So that's just the budget as it is. It's as simple as that. That's the budget, the entire budget process. Now, a question so why are we not getting it right? Why are we not getting right? There's a delegate yesterday coming from that area who asked Uguti if things are what we are presenting to you and as simple as they are, so why are we getting bad audit report. I think he asked something like that. These are the problems. It's poor municipal management, poor governance, weak institutional capacity, poor service delivery due to lack of poor fiscal disciplines, not lack of funding, persistent acting MMs and FOs, CFOs, and all of those things. The second one, which is also critical, is the local political economy. Dysfunctional structures, political instability, and so many other things. Izinto esizazi iyona lento ebanga ukuthi kube ngazuthi omasipala are not delivering the service. There's also other ones, socio-economic changes, the impact of poverty, unemployment, inequalities, the disasters that we've seen, COVID, unrest. So all of those things. The systematic problems, and ukuthi kube ngathi i-budget it's unfunded or ayenzeki or there's no systematic problems, policy demarcation, failure to implement intervention frameworks and all of those things. And then the last one, which my colleague from eThekwini will come present later, the supply chain management systems. So all of these 5 things are the contributing factors ukuthi omasipala babukeke engazuthi abadeliver, and it takes everything away, and that's where you come in. These platforms that we have created are thought-provoking. They are supposed to move you inside. Ukuthi mina, since I'm starting in this journey yokuba a civil servant or a servant kahulumeni, this is what I'm willing to change in the near future. It's not like Himalayiko. If you look at the local government transfers currently, the equitable share for next financial year that will start in July, 87.3 billion. It's just local equitable share is going to Omaspal, 87 billion equitable share on its own, countrywide. And there's $1 billion for support to Councillor, the new councillors that have just taken office. That 15.3 billion, it's coming from the fuel levy. Guys complain as to petrol we are kupuga recently. Where is this money going? I think there was a 250 that we are complaining about, which is a fuel levy. That amount there, that 15.3 billion, if you live, goes to the municipality to provide the service delivery. So those levies that we are paying are going to the municipalities. Conditional grants, 45.5 infrastructure that MIG is going, 45.6 billion is going. So it's not like Himalayiko. And capacity building and all of those things. It's not like the money is not there. The money is there. Our government has the funds, but this is taking the money away from the people. If we can overcome these challenges, we can see effect of those funds. Abantu bazoba nemizi, abantu bazosebenza, service delivery waste will be picked up. That's the problem. These are causing the challenges. This is just a local government fiscal framework. How does it work? We know, just quickly, the operating budget is comprised of the capital. Okay, the operating budget is supposed to come from the revenue that is budgeted. Is supposed to come from IRAMA rate, property rate, as well as the service charges, which is your electricity, your water, your refuse. So those two, AMA rate as well as AMA service charges and other revenues as well, are supposed to bolster the operating budget kamasipala. On the other side, which is the direct transfers, as I was talking to you earlier, as I was showing to you those transfers. So the other side, the equitable share, the RLC, the operating grants are supposed to come from the government. This one on the other side is supposed to come from the people. Now, what is happening? The people are not paying. They are not paying because the municipalities are not delivering. So there's only one leg that is now contributing to the operating budget. And that's where we are falling out as well. If we are not delivering the service to the people, then we have a challenge where izinto zi-imbalance. We are only relying on the equitable share to provide the service. Monday, I was calling, 5 minutes. Okay, I'll wrap up just now. Monday, I was in contact with one of the municipalities in compliance with Section 41, doing a follow-up on Umgeni Water Board. So there's a municipality that has not paid Umgeni Water Board. Water Board is delivering a month to Maspalu Select Band. Now they owe about 240 million. I was on call with the senior official. Giti, what's happening? The arrangement has not been met. Uti was landed. We need to follow up. What's happening? And this is the answer that I got. The municipality does not have money. His words were like this. We have 40 million right now. And on Friday, we are supposed to release our salaries on 60 million. We don't have the money. So how on earth are we going to pay Umgeni Water Board the arrangement that is in place, 240 million? That's the situation. There's only one leg that is operating, equitable share. And that's a scary part. Utimala ingeni, ayiko. It's Monday, I have 40 million. In Friday, I'm supposed to release a Masaratis, Jobagu 24, 25. I'm short of 20 million. That's the situation. And that's what you are supposed to change. But that's the role that you're supposed to play. That's your role as your future CFOs, future MMs, future mayors, those are the challenges that you are supposed to address. All right. So that's the bigger scheme of things, of how things should be. And in terms of funding the capital budget, that can be done through borrowing. Mass financial muscle, they are able to borrow funds from the Development Bank of South Africa, and then they provide them assets, and the assets will be trading assets, which will generate services. And the other one, obviously, is funded through grants. Just quickly, in closure, Program Director, I was just provoking your thoughts in terms of how things stand. Ay angazi ke lento. Zakwe. All right, just quickly, what are you supposed to do going forward? When you are crafting a budget, you need to ask yourself these questions. After these questions, then I'll sit. Is the spending in line with the constitutional priorities? Is the budget balanced or funded? Is the adequate provision made for asset renewal and maintenance? One of the key things that is bonile during the disaster is that infrastructure, if it's not repaired, if it's not renewed, when disasters hit, everything falls apart. So that's very critical as well. When you're compiling a budget, there must be a budget for renewal and a budget for repairs. There must be asset plans in place. When are we going to maintain it? When are we going to upgrade it? So, and all of those things, and there must be a provision of those things. Is the revenue value chain working effectively and ensure accurate billing? If you are not billing correctly, then you can't expect to receive imali from abantu. The addresses, data integrity, very important. Is the municipalities billing all services and collecting all monies that are due? Are the tariffs for trading services cost reflective? School, my electricity and water. What you put in, you must be able to cover and make profit as well. We know that municipality is not a profit making, but for electricity, water, and refuse, the municipality must be trading at a surplus. Do cost management and efficiencies inform plans? Is there value for money achieved? How accurate is your Section 71? That is your monthly billing, as I indicated to you. Are there municipal budgets and reporting regulations used effectively? MBRR, as I was talking to you earlier. So that amplification, is it being used effectively? One of the things that the MBRR states is the formation of the Budget Steering Committee, Regulation 4. There must be a formation, and the mayor must chair that committee. And there must be accountability. Mele kube no MM, nama senior managers, no CFO. And they must sit every month to ensure accountability. That's what the MBRR is. The reporting driven by compliance. Are we complying? Are the reporting outcomes regularly reviewed? Report meeting, stakeholder engagement, and so on and so forth. That's just in a nutshell, at a high level, the budget process. Thank you for listening to me.